Whoa. No, actually, this video is not going to be about why your agent absolutely sucks and why you should switch to a different agent. No. In this video, we're going to try a different approach where we talk about how to better improve your communication style to help your real estate agent better understand exactly what you're looking for. Now, my name is Mohammed. Welcome back to another week's episode of Closed by Mo. I am a real estate investor and a realtor based out of New York. The idea for this week's video actually came to me a couple of weeks ago. I was, meeting with a senior agent that was helping me show the ropes, and he was talking about how one of his clients left such a negative review, and which totally took me aback because I know this agent. He's been in real estate for over a decade now, and he's closed hundreds of transactions. And if you go on his, Google reviews and all his reviews, they're all overwhelmingly positive. And I was taken aback because I was shocked. I was like, hey, how come someone like him is still having issues with people, not having the best experience working with them? And I realized in speaking with him that there was a difference in communication style. Now, what I mean by that is a real estate agent works on transactions day in, day out, right? So this is the world that we live in. Even if you're a real estate investor and you're not a broker, this is the world that we live in, the lingo, the terminology, the styles, the sort of way to move and the way to dance, versus a retail buyer, a retail seller, someone who's maybe involved in a transaction once or twice a decade when they're either selling their home or buying their home. These are two very different communication styles, and if one side doesn't understand the other, then there's always going to be, there's bound to be friction. So I'm hoping by the end of this video, you walk away with a couple of different tips on how to better communicate with your agent, and I hope agents can also relate to this and maybe share this video along with a client that they didn't have the best experience with, or maybe someone that they're getting a little bit frustrated with. Who knows? You never know. It might come in handy. So without further ado, let's jump right into this, guys. Now, the first of 3 points that I want to talk about is being honest. Now, what I mean by this, and there's going to be a couple of sub-points, and yes, I will get heated when I talk about this just because I put this on here because of what happened to me a couple of months ago. So to give you a bit of a background, I've been working with one specific client for a few months, and after we got a property under contract, and this is before the interest rates started to rise, but mind you, so after we finally got a property under contract and we're going through the due diligence and the lender is underwriting, they do a hard check and they find that my clients have been squatting in their home for the last few years. My clients were foreclosed on a few years ago, and they just didn't pay any mortgage payments, they didn't pay any rent. Can you tell me on what planet a bank is going to approve you for financing if you've burnt them in the past? That's not the way this works, right? I bring that up because I want to stress how important it is for clients to be totally transparent with your agent about the situation that they're in right now, because your agent's responsibility is to put your best foot forward, whether that's as a buyer to put your best foot forward as an offer, or if you're a seller to put your best foot forward in terms of how to present the home and which offers to accept to help you succeed. Your agent should know what's happening in the ins and outs, because then it'll help them figure out which route is going to be the best for you and hopefully advise you on that route too. Now, the second sub point in terms of being honest is be honest about your finances, man. If you can't afford a particular home, don't try and schedule a showing for that home. Don't try and see if we can lowball an offer for that particular home. That's not the way it works. You might hear a lot of stories about the market crashing, but I can assure you, your 0% down offer that is like $100,000 below the asking price is not going to get accepted. And no, we shouldn't just try, because if we don't ask, the answer is no. That's not the way it works. But if you share with me what your finances are, what your approval amount is, what's going on behind the scenes, that'll help me better filter through what properties are going to be a better match for you and which ones I think we're going to have a higher chance of getting an offer accepted for. The third sub point behind being honest is understanding who the decision makers are. So if you're the type of client, and if you're selling a house, or if you're buying a house, and deep down that, hey, you're gonna have to run this by someone else before you can also sign off on it, you need to tell your agent that. And the reason I stress that is because your time is valuable as a client, our time is valuable as an agent. We don't want to be put in a scenario where we invest a lot of time and energy into something and turns out that the person that we should have been talking to wasn't involved from the get-go. Now, I'm not saying, it's unavoidable, because sometimes people have different schedules, but it is something that all decision makers need to be looped in on, especially a transaction like as big as real estate. The fourth point is, if there's any change to the situation, please let us know. We understand that, right? That this is life, things happen. You might have been working with an agent for 6 months, looking at 100 homes every single month, and then suddenly your situation changes and you can no longer buy a house. that's fine. Just don't ghost people. You should always communicate with your agent and let them know why something is happening, because then they understand and they're not sort of left hanging in the dark, and then they have a bad taste in their mouth with working with you. The fourth sub point is having clarity on what you want and being honest about that. Now, what I mean by that is there's a distinction between what you want and what you need. So for example, if you know absolutely you need to stay in the same school district because you have kids in school and there's no way you're going to, remove them from that school in the middle of the school year, then you need to communicate with your agent that, because then we can make sure we're not wasting your time by sending you or showing you homes that are outside of your district or the outside of your criteria. And it also helps us ground you when you want to look at homes that don't meet your needs but do meet your wants. There's a difference, like I mentioned again, between a want and a need, and the need is the more important thing. Now, the second main point, which is going to be a lot quicker, is about communication. Give feedback consistently and give it constantly. When you look at 10 homes on a weekend and you say you don't like any of them, you need to explain exactly why. Why do you hate house number 10 less than house number 4? Why do you love house number 3 more than house number 2? What is it that you like? What is it that you dislike? Real estate is very unique in the sense that one property can be totally different than another property on the same street, same layout, the interior can be totally different. We understand those things, but to help us better communicate with you and better, serve you, you need to be consistently giving feedback so we can, fine tune our search for you. That makes the difference between 10 homes, seeing 10 homes you're absolutely going to hate on a Saturday versus seeing 2 homes on a Saturday that you're absolutely going to love. The best agents that I've worked with are very good about filtering through and getting out of their clients what they actually want, what they need, and getting that constant communication or feedback loop from them. Now, the third and final point that I think will absolutely help you communicate with your agent better, and it's going to be totally out of this world, is don't be rude, man. I know it's a very simple thing, but I think a lot of times things are lost in translation because, again, it goes back to a lot of retail buyers and sellers aren't in the real estate world, so they don't quite, there's a little bit of a disconnect in terms of the communication style. But I know it's shocking to accept. Real estate agents are people too. We have feelings, we have bills to pay, we have responsibilities, right? So things that you wouldn't do to a normal person, maybe, you shouldn't expect that from your real estate agent either. So for example, and this again does matter in terms of context, but when clients ask me to give up my commission to help them save on closing costs, for me, it's always on a context by context basis. And what I mean by that is if they ask me from the get-go, this is a client that I haven't built a relationship with, I'm really not, I'm really reluctant to be doing that. But if it's someone I've worked with and there's a relationship going and I know absolutely that, hey, if I'm able to come down on my commission and the agent on the other side is able to do the same thing, and then the deal will go through, then that's something that I'm more happy to entertain. But of course, context matters. There's also a point of punctuality. It irks me to no degree when clients can't show up on time consistently to showings. Hey, if I'm there like 5 to 10 minutes earlier, I hopefully would expect you to show up on time at the very least, because my time is valuable, your time is hopefully valuable, the seller's time is valuable, the selling agent's time is also valuable. And when one person is late, there's a ripple effect. God forbid you have an order of showings that you need to do that day, because if you're late to one, all the other ones are going to be late and it's going to be a ripple effect. One other thing, I think the final thing in terms of not being rude is when an agent feels that a client is flip-flopping and there's no clarity, that's not the best thing to do to affect the level of communication you're going to get from your agent. Now, what I mean by that is if you've told your agent that, hey, you need a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and then suddenly you want to go look at houses that have 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, there needs to be some clarity around that, because that doesn't do us any favors in terms of figuring out which homes to actually filter through our MLS to help you, refine your search. It just throws us all over the place, and it gives us a lot of question marks in terms of what you're actually looking for. And with that, that's it. That's the end of the video, guys. I hope this was really helpful, and I hope that you're able to send this to your clients if you're a real estate agent, or I hope if you're a client, it helps you better understand how to better communicate with your agent. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next week, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Bye.